Hey guys, I just wanted to pop in for a minute. It's been a while since I've came on and just chatted with you, and there's a ton of new of you. I don't even know if that made sense, but thought I'd kind of just say hi, tell you my story, and why I do what I do. The last few years, I have felt more and more compelled all the time to chase this dream of teaching our next generation self-sufficiency and teaching you guys that we can embrace that for our kids. It has been crazy watching what has happened in the last 5 years. Now, when I say 5 years ago, that's also when I launched the main part of my business. That was when huge life-changing things for everybody came about, I really think. It's been a roller coaster. But for me, I grew up farming. I grew up on a ranch. I grew up with some level of self-sufficiency all the time. Like when I was a kid, I didn't even know you could buy meat from a grocery store because we had several freezers full of everything we had raised or hunted ourselves. But then I kind of went on into life, into adulthood. I always hunted, I always had a garden, but it wasn't something that I felt compelled to do like all the time. It was just kind of a hobby, something I enjoyed doing. And when we had our shutdowns that, we're all thinking about, and we saw literally how fragile our supply chain is. I think it just we know it sparked something for everybody. But for me, what it sparked was, thank goodness, a few years earlier, we had completely changed our lives to be more self-sufficient, to grow all of our own food for my husband's health. Because I was stuck in the NICU with my baby when shutdowns happened, and my kids at home had everything they needed. They had a safe property, they had food in the pantries, food in the fridge, freezers, and I had taught all my kids how to cook already. Of course, as a mom, I was worried about them, but I didn't have to worry that their basic needs weren't met. And as everybody else said, oh my gosh, we need to be self-sufficient. We've realized that we don't have, as a society, as a generation, whatever we want to call it, we don't have what it takes to take care of ourselves. And that's a really scary thing. We were even guilty of it in a lot of ways. And I'm constantly learning new skills, even if I don't practice them every day, to know that if I ever need them again, because I think that our world showed us that we could very, very easily need them again. Over the last several years, I have been teaching, I have been doing my podcast, I've been creating products to teach our kids, I have been partnering with some amazing people to get this message out. And so I just wanted to take a minute and talk to you about how we've been teaching our kids and how we've been teaching so many others how to teach their kids as well. So about a year after shutdowns, I had seen on a Facebook board or a Facebook group that people were like, well, if we're all homeschooling our kids, which I just want to make it clear that distance ed is not homeschooling, but that's a whole nother conversation that we can have another day. If we're gonna have our kids home, how can we make sure they know everything they need to know? And everybody started listing all the things that we should be teaching our kids. And then other people were chiming in and saying, how do we know how to teach them this? I don't know this. And I was sitting there reading that, and I was thinking to myself, I know this. And not in I already know how to do this type of way, but in what can I do to fill that gap or to fill that need for people when I know how to do it? And it's comfortable to me, and it's part of our everyday life. And I kept milling on this thought just constantly. I had been homeschooling my kids for several years at that point. And one of my biggest disappointments in homeschooling is that there weren't ag science curriculums. And so we had been creating them. I'd been creating them all the way down from my toddlers all the way up to my high schoolers. And as somebody who was an ag science major, I had a very specific way that I wanted to teach my kids. I wanted them to learn and understand small scale farming, but I wanted them to truly understand the science and the scalability of farming and the necessity of all different sizes. So as I was driving to work one morning, it was almost just like a download to my brain. You need to write something for these people. You need to write a homeschool curriculum, but not just any old homeschool curriculum. One that meets the families and the kids and the parents right where they're at, where they're learning together, and that they can take that information and build something together, whether they live on 40 acres or no acres. Having that understanding, that confidence in themselves, and knowing where to find the next bit of information is going to be that game changer that families need. So I came home from work and, okay, I'm gonna tell you a secret. I have a lot of crazy ideas. Not that you didn't already know that about me. But I came in and I was a little nervous to tell my husband about this next crazy idea. And I said, okay, I have a new idea. And he was like, really? And I was like, no, hear me out on this one. It's a good one. And I started telling him about what I have planned, and oh my goodness, like, he's like, get in your chair, get your computer. Would you like a glass of iced tea? And that weekend, I put together the Little Learners Homestead Science alphabet coloring book. Now, I just wanted to know if I could do it. I mean, I hadn't written really in years. I wrote a lot in college. I wrote a lot in my corporate jobs afterwards. But writing and designing something I'd never done. And so I sat down and I put this together, and not only did I know that I wanted there to be great pictures in here for the kids to color, but I wanted real facts. I mean, how many coloring books do you buy about farming and it's kind of just like, this is a cow says moo. I wanted like in-depth information that can be read to the child while they're coloring, and that movement with the auditory is what absolutely locks that in for them. Additionally, as all these families are learning together and they're wanting to try these new things, I wanted to give a bunch of activities for the families to do. So for every letter, there's a homestead activity that you can do right in your kitchen. And the kids have a blast with it. In fact, my kids, some of their favorite snacks that they learned how to make in here, I mean, they're still their favorite snacks 5 years later. And so, okay, I can do this. Let's go ahead and put together something that's a full year curriculum for these younger kids to learn not only how to homestead, but how to be good people, how to work in their community, understand rural traditions, that there's great stories, lots of giggles, and something where they're learning a really solid foundation for homesteading, farming, where their food comes from. And that's when I designed Little Learners Homestead Science, and it's called Build Your Own Homestead. And what they do, I don't have it here with me, but you can see a little sample one. That comes as a 2x3 poster, and the kids can design their entire homestead while they learn about it. So they learn about a chicken. Once they've earned learning about a chicken and what a chicken eats and where a chicken lives, after they master each one of those pieces, then they get to add it to their homestead. So that gives them like that long-term planning, the patience, I mean, just kind of the things that goes into a homestead. Plus they're seeing how it all works together. But that just wasn't quite enough for the older kids. But I wasn't quite ready for the high school yet. I mean, that's a big one. So I came out with the expansion pack. This is so that your older kids, or when families are learning together, they can be reading through this. And not every kid needs one of these. It can be one for the family. But this gives like the science and sociology of what they're doing while they're building their homestead. So you get all the stories, the conversation. One of my favorites is in the main textbook, they learn the parts of a plant. Now for the little ones, we're just learning leaves and roots and stem. But you come over here and you're teaching your kids how to read a seed packet, how to plan your planting schedule on a calendar, photosynthesis, and doing a science project. I mean, being able to associate everyday things with your science, that's what makes it like stick. That's what makes them learn something and feel like they're part of something. But I knew that I could not get away without writing an older version of this, because this is something that I can do, there was a way I could teach this that just wasn't available, and definitely not available in a way that's designed for small scale farmers and a real focus on self-sufficiency. So I came up with Introduction to Homestead Science. It is a full year curriculum. It's got 18 units. It counts as a full science with a lab for your high schoolers and meets national ag standards minus the actual like FFA part. But there's a ton of quality of character built into this, and leadership skills and problem solving and all those things that you're taught as part of your FFA chapter. So as you go through this, it starts right out with how to buy land, goes into building small engines, your poultry, companion animals, all the way through the livestock into growing plants and your soil, orchards, vineyards, bees and insects, growing grains and forages, food preservation, home cooking, off-grid life, herbalism, hunting and fishing, first aid, and business. I mean, where else are you gonna find something this complete? In fact, it is so well loved by homesteaders that adults buy it to start their own homesteads. And it comes with a workbook where they can do all of their vocabulary and extra learning and labs. Look, making egg custard and learning about all the parts of an egg and how an embryo forms. I mean, you're getting all these pieces right here together. This is a science that kids love. They want to keep doing it. They want to keep learning about it. I have parents actually saying that their kids read this the whole way home instead of wanting to be on their tablets in the car, and they have to tell them to stop because they actually need to do their lessons. So if you're interested in grabbing one of these, you can go to thehomesteadeducation.com/shop and check it all out, see what else you need, because this isn't all that I have. I have mini courses, I have activity books, I have guides for adult homestead, and I offer coaching and life skills and all sorts of other things. So if something I've talked about here today excites you and you have more questions, or if you want to learn more, head on over to the website, shoot me a message, and I can't wait to help you and your family on your homestead homeschool journey.